In this video, I'm going to cover how I manage my fleet operationally. And I have to say, being early in these projects is really exciting because there's no playbook, so you get to create the playbook. But with that comes a lot of tribal knowledge. And I'm seeing a lot of the same types of questions across a lot of the different Hivemapper communities, whether it's in Discord or some of the Facebook groups. And I am going to answer a lot of those questions in this video. So if you are a fleet manager or looking to build out a fleet of your own, I think you will get a lot out of this video. With that said, here's what I'll be covering. I'm going to talk about how I do my reward splits, whether I recruit the driver directly or through my referral system. I'm going to talk about how I set up the fleet management tool and what work I do in the front end before I even meet up with the driver to make that meeting more efficient. And then when you do meet with the driver, some of the best practices and things I absolutely recommend you cover with that driver during that meeting. And then on the back end, how you can track to make sure that they are uploading imagery properly. And the thing that I think most people are interested in, how I manage my reward splits every Thursday, in particular with my referral program, because it does require some extra work on the back end. Now, as always, nothing in this video is financial advice. And if you do like this video, please do like, subscribe, and comment below. All right, let's dig in. So when it comes to reward split, if I recruit the driver directly, I do a 50-50 split. Now, if that driver was referred to me, they get 40% and the referrer gets 10%. Now, I'm seeing a lot of stuff recently in these different groups about fleet managers taking 80%. I know these dash cams are super backordered, but in my opinion, that's way too much because this isn't just like a set it and forget it thing. The drivers are the ones that are out there every day and they're downloading and uploading imagery every day. So I think that taking 80% is way too much. So if you are interested in joining my fleet for a 50-50 split, I do have a info request form linked below that you can fill out, and then I'll be in touch with you. Now, the more setup work you can do on the front end, the better, because you need to realize when you meet with these drivers, you're taking them off the road and time is money for them. So anything you can do to speed up that process when you meet up with them is going to be very much appreciated by the driver. So here's the stuff that I do on the front end to make that meeting with them much more efficient. All right, for the fleet management tool, you need to set up a phantom wallet that you're going to use for your fleet management wallet. And of course, you need to write down your seed phrase, put it in a really safe spot because this is a very important wallet. And then you're going to go to the Hivemapper website and go to build the map and then manage fleet. From there, you can set up your fleet with that wallet by logging in. And it's from that page that you'll be able to add members to your fleet. Now, early on, I used to have the driver set up their wallet when I met with them, but it ended up making that process so much longer. So I have started doing it on the front end. So basically, I have another device. You can do it from a computer, from your iPad, whatever you want to do. And I set up a phantom wallet for them. I write down their seed phrase on a piece of paper that I do give to them. And then I add that wallet to the fleet before I even meet up with them. Basically, what that looks like is you're going to add your fleet member and it's going to create this link, which you can use your other device to scan that. And this process takes you over to the phantom wallet to confirm a couple of times. And then you will have added that wallet to the fleet. And then if you go back to your fleet management page and refresh the page, you're going to see that driver pop up there. Put in your driver name. And you're going to click this box to give them access to the dash cam. And then in this box here, you're going to put what their split is. So let's say I recruited this driver directly. I would put 50 in this box. It's a 50-50 split. Now let's say the driver was referred. I would put 40 in that box because they would get 40%. The other 60% would go to my fleet management wallet. Next thing I do is save that wallet in your address book for your fleet management wallet, because if that driver does refer other drivers down the line, this is going to come in handy having this set up already. Now, from that device that you set up their wallet on, I will log into the Hivemapper app, and you should see their name pop up in there when you log into the wallet and the reward split that you set up in that fleet management tool. Now, the next thing I do is actually connect that wallet to the dash cam. That's going to lock that dash cam down, but I also want to make sure that the firmware is completely updated so that it's ready to go when I meet up with that driver. And just a small tip here on the firmware update, it's not super intuitive, but if you go down to the bottom right and you look at the bottom here, it's going to show you the percentage that firmware update's at. And then when it's complete, it's going to say it needs to reboot. All that means is you just have to unplug the camera, plug it back in, you're ready to rock. I got this USB adapter, so it has the cigarette lighter input that you can plug into a USB. That way I can do all this in my home, so I'm not having to do all this setup work in my car. So once you have that firmware updated and you have that dash cam locked down with their wallet, I then completely delete their wallet, okay? Because I'm going to give them their seed phrase and they're gonna have full custody over that. Now, the next thing I do may be the most important part of the entire process. So I create two folders. You can do this on your web browser, in your computer, or in your phone. I title one of them mileage tracking, and the other folder is reward tracking. So for each driver, I create two bookmarked web pages that I put into each of these folders. So number one, if you go to the fleet management tool, you'll see this little emblem to the right of their name. If you click on that, that's gonna pull them up in the Explorer and you're going to be able to see how many kilometers they're uploading every day. So I create a bookmark and I put it in that mileage tracking folder. And the nomenclature I use is the driver's name dash their unique Hivemapper driver name. Now, you can use whatever nomenclature you want. That doesn't really matter. Now, for the other bookmark, you're gonna wanna go back to that fleet management page. When you click on their driver name, it's gonna toggle over to their wallet address. So you're going to want to copy that wallet address and then open up a new tab, go to solscan.com. You're going to paste their wallet address in there, and then you're going to scroll down and go to the SPL tab. And then you're going to bookmark this page and put in that reward tracker folder. So again, 2 bookmarks for each driver, one for their mileage tracking, one for reward tracking. I'm going to come back to both of these later in this video. So one more thing, before you meet with that driver, I highly recommend getting this secondary mount. Okay, I have this set up with every single one of my drivers. The mount that comes with the dash cam is okay, but this one is much better, and you're going to get much better placement, much better imagery. So I highly recommend getting this one. I have it linked below. And one other thing is get some splitters. You're not going to use it with every single driver, but I would say that 40 to 50% of the time, that driver is already using that cigarette lighter outlet for something else, maybe charging their phone or some other device. So having a splitter on hand is really helpful in this process, and the driver definitely appreciates it. Plus, you look a lot more professional and prepared by having one. So I pretty much order one for every 2 dash cams because you're not going to need it every single time. I also have that linked below. Both of these you can buy from Amazon. Okay, and now you're ready to meet up with the driver. So when I meet up with the driver, the first thing I do is I hand them that paper with the seed phrase on there. And you want to make sure that they understand how important that is. And I tell them, look, this is the only copy of this. You're going to have full custody over your assets. And the way this works is if you lose your phone, when you get a new device, you can put these words in and recover all of your assets. But if you lose this piece of paper, nobody can get them back for you. So make sure you put this in a really safe spot. So then I instruct them to download the Phantom app, select that you already have a wallet, and import your seed phrase. And you're going to want to put these words in this specific order with a space in between each word. So while they're doing that, I start setting up the placement of the dash cam. So by the time I get their dash cam placement set up, they normally will have that seed phrase entered and the Phantom app will be ready to go. Then I have them download the Hivemapper app and then have them log into that Hivemapper app with that wallet they just set up, just making sure that their name, the fleet management, everything's showing up properly. Then I make sure I get them connected to the Wi-Fi on the dash cam and walk them through that whole process. So one thing I'm not going to cover in this video, because I'm going to do a separate video for it, is talking them through how to download and upload imagery and best practices on how to troubleshoot if they're having issues, because I'm getting so many inquiries right now across my fleet that it's become almost another full-time job. And I want to have a video I can send to them to help them troubleshoot. And I will make it available, so if you want to use it for your fleet, you'll be able to as well. So I am going to skip past that in this video, but that will be the next video I put out. Now, some key things that I highly recommend you cover. Remind them, daytime driving only. And with this newest update, which I freaking love, it tells you what time mapping starts and what time it ends, but it's always good to give them a reminder. The next thing is getting in the practice of uploading imagery every day. I think you do have up to 48 hours, but I normally tell them to get in the practice of just making it part of your process and uploading them every day. I then talk to them about the camera placement and show them in the app what the image looks like, because it is super important that you get good imagery if they want to get full credit for everything that they're capturing. And then I remind them that, hey, you're going to be mapping from Monday through Sunday, and then your reward distribution will hit that following Thursday. And this is really important if you're meeting with a driver on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, that they don't expect to get a distribution that Thursday, okay? So just make sure that they understand what the mapping period is and how that distribution schedule works. And then lastly, remind them about your referral program. Okay, this is absolutely key. And if you don't have a referral program today, I mean, I don't know what you're doing, because when I look at the makeup of my fleet, I would say between 35 and 40% of the drivers in my fleet are referred from other drivers. So in my last video, when I talked about 80% of my drivers could be routed back to that process that I covered on how to recruit Uber and Lyft drivers, that is true, but not all of them were directly recruited. There's a very large number of those that were referred from other drivers that I did recruit with that process. So you want to grow your fleet efficiently, work smarter, not harder. And the referral program does just that. Okay, let's talk about the process after you get the driver set up. So number one, that first bookmark that we made on mileage tracking, I keep a really close eye on this for the first week or two after I set a driver up. And I do keep an eye on it after that, but just not as frequently. But the worst case scenario is if you get a driver set up, they're driving all over the place, they're super excited about getting their first distribution, only to find out that they weren't downloading and uploading the imagery properly. Talk about taking wind out of your sails. So I get ahead of that. For new drivers, I keep a really close eye on this, and I'll check in with them, and I'll send them a link to this page also so they can check it for themselves. But I just want to make sure, do these numbers look accurate? Make sure they understand it's in kilometers and not miles. And if it seems light, just say, hey, look, that's exactly what I was checking in. This happens with a lot of drivers. You'll get the process down, and there's a lot of nuances with this app, so I'm happy to walk you back through it and troubleshoot it. Just want to make sure you're getting credit for everything, that's all. And they're normally really appreciative of that. Once the driver gets the process down, it's pretty smooth sailing after that point. All right, now I'm going to talk about how I manage my distribution for my referral program. This is is probably the question I see the most. You're gonna wanna go to that webpage that you bookmarked for reward tracking. Okay, so we're gonna scroll down to the SPL tab. This is going to show you the honey distribution that went into their wallet. And I look at this every Thursday morning. So if you get a driver that's just driving in one region, it's pretty straightforward. But a couple things that are worth mentioning. If your driver is driving across multiple regions, or especially across multiple states, there's going to be different honey deposits across every single region. So here's an example of that. You notice there's a ton of smaller deposits, and you're going to need to add those up to know what the full distribution for that week is. Now, the other thing I'll mention is that I have some drivers that have started their own fleets, which I fully welcome. I just ask them to be upfront with me about it. And really all I care about is if they have my dash cam that they're mapping with it. Okay. If they're no longer planning on mapping with it, I say, hey, let me know so I can place it with another driver. But in that scenario, you need to be able to decipher which honey deposits are for your camera versus others. So this is how you do it. So we go to this transaction here. You're going to go to the left. You're going to click on this signature link. And this is going to give you the details of that deposit. So if you go down, you're going to see this wallet right here is the Hivemapper wallet where all the distributions come out of. If it is coming from your dash cam, you're going to see two destination wallet addresses here. One should be yours, the fleet management wallet address, and the others will be the drivers. And you'll be able to see the exact honey distribution. So if they're in a 50-50 split, then it'll be equal. If they were a referred driver, they're going to get 40%, you're going to get 60%. But this is how you can double check the details of those different honey deposits. Okay, so here's how I actually manage the calculation behind this. So I created this spreadsheet. This is actually just a template I created for this video. And being the nice guy that I am, I linked a Google Doc below for you. And it is read only, but you should be able to download a copy that you can then customize for your specific drivers. I will say I have this defaulted to a 50-50 or a 50-40 10 split for the referral program. I will update it at a later date so you can customize your different splits if you want, but that's how I have it set up for right now. And I would say this is really only necessary for drivers that were referred for calculating the referral distributions, but I do it for every driver in my fleet because I like to balance my books and reconcile and make sure that everything adds up. So what I do is on the left here, I put in the driver name and their unique Hivemapper driver name. And then in this box here, you're going to put what their honey rewards were for that week. And then this drop down, you're going to select whether they were referred or not. Based on the answer you select there, it's automatically going to calculate the referrer rewards as well as your own. And you will want to put in this box the name of the referrer. So I go through and I do this for every single driver. And then I do have each column tallied up at the bottom. And so in my case, because I am getting 50% on every single dash cam, my column should total up to equal the combination of both the referral column and the driver column. Now on the right, this is where the referral splits are added up. So there is a little bit of manual work here, but you really only have to set it up once. They do end up referring more drivers down the road. You can just add them very easily. So what I do is in this cell, put equals sum, open parentheses, and you're going to go ahead and click on the different cells that have their referral calculation in them. So in this case, you click on this cell, hit plus, click on this cell, hit plus, click on this cell, and then hit enter. And it's going to add up all those different referral distributions for that one driver. So in this case, that driver referred 3 drivers. So I do this, anyone that's referred anyone, and I do tally this up at the bottom. So that sum should equal the total sum of the other referral column. That way you can make sure you're not missing anything. And then remember, you already saved their wallet address in your Phantom address book. So I go through from that fleet management wallet and I send out those distributions. So instead of having separate transactions for every single driver that they referred, they're all added up in that cell so you can send it all at once in one single transaction. So you go down the list, you send those out, and then what's left in your fleet management wallet should add up to the total of that column that shows your reward splits. And at that point, you've reconciled everything, you've balanced your books, and you're good to go. So that is how I manage my fleet. Everything from setting them up in fleet management to the work I do before I meet up with them in person, the things that I cover when I meet up with them, and then how I track their mileage uploads on the back end, and how I calculate and send out my referral splits every week. So a couple last things here. I do have a 10% discount code linked below if you are planning on purchasing some dash cams. Oh, and this shirt. Pretty freaking awesome, right? There's a member of the DePIN community. He's a Helium OG I've been friends with for a while that's making these things. I do have a link to that below too. With that said, I do appreciate your viewership. Please do like, subscribe, comment below. Signing off, this is Bradley Meyer with the DePIN Connection.